Hey guys, it's Tommy here and welcome back to my channel and welcome to a bit of a different video. Today's video is just a few tips and tricks on park management. Now I got a comment on one of my videos a couple of days ago from Bharath Krishna, I hope I pronounced that right, asking me to do a video on park management, so I thought I'd take a quick look into it and sort of give out any tips that, that I would suggest when you're looking at a park. Obviously this park is not a full park. I've not set up one that I'm working on, however this is just kind of a bit of a layout just to give you one or two tips. So I'll put a couple of rides in at the end here just to get a few guests coming in. Yeah, I will leave it like this and we'll get on with the first tip. Right, so tip number one would be to consider where you're placing your shops. Now, what I've done at the entrance here, I've built 3 shops here. I've built a burrito shop, a gulpy shop, and a loony balloon shop. And on the other side, I've built exactly the same loony, gulpy, and burrito. So the difference here, as you can see, is one, the shops are, exactly butting up to the edge of the path, and one, they are sat further back like this with a bit of a path on them. What I would suggest is you build them further, set a little bit further back like this. The reason I say that is because if you start getting people come to these shops here and start getting a crowd gather, as you can see here, the queue starts to form and starts to join the main path. Now I've built a fairly wide path for the main stretch here, which is fine because the queues aren't going to build up that much and interfere with it. But as you can see already, this path is getting quite crowded with the queues here, especially for the gulpy shops. But over here we have individual paths, individual queues, and it's not interfering with anybody. Now it doesn't make a difference because the guests aren't really going to complain, but I just think it looks a lot nicer when your shops are set a little bit further back. Obviously I've not themed it, obviously you're going to put a big building around that, make it look nice, make it look all fancy, fair enough. But as you can see, the queue is set straight off the path. You're not going to have that sort of interference, as you might do if you have a queue like this and you've only got a path that is, this path's 10 meters wide. If you have a path that is only 4 meters wide, 5 meters wide, that's going to cause you an issue. So I would suggest, as my first tip, setting your shops back a little bit off the path just to avoid any crowding and any hustling and bustling. My second tip is on staff rooms. Now, what I've done here, halfway down here, I've built a staff room. We'll use this little vintage scenery piece, built a staff room here. Now, 2 tips on staff room. First of all, always make sure you up the capacity to 10. It costs you $175. If you're doing sandbox, fantastic, doesn't cost you a penny because you've got unlimited money. If you're doing a challenge mode, $175 isn't really that much for the convenience of not having to build another staff room for a while. So I would always up the capacity to 10. Now you can look at perks, you can look at increasing any of these sort of perks on the staff room so that staff basically improve their happiness. Because one of the things when you're running the challenge parks is you've got to keep the staff happy with wages, with training, with perks like that. Otherwise they will quit on you. So that's the first thing, is always up it to 10. Secondly, consider where you're putting your staff room down. I've put the staff room there right in the middle of the park, okay? I've also put another staff room around the back of the shops here. Now, let's boost this capacity to 10 here. Now, what I would always suggest is if you're building a line of shops like this, consider putting a staff room on the back here. And that's simply because as soon as these staff get tired, she doesn't know what to do with herself, look there. As soon as these staff get tired, they want to jump out of that shop and they want to go to the staff room, okay? And if you've not got an excess of staff members, I have here because I've just plonked some down just to demonstrate, but if you don't have many spare staff members, they've got to jump out and they will walk at this speed all the way down to that staff room, and that shop will be empty for far too long. So if you build a building and put the staff room behind the shops, the staff won't be long away from their vendors. So I would always recommend trying to squeeze in a staff room when you're building a sort of, I don't know, maybe like a food court or something along those lines. If you're building a little area, it's not very often people just, put down one random drink shop and that is it. That's not very, people don't often do that. People often put a couple of shops together under one building to make it look nice. So I just think for the sake of putting an extra row of buildings on, and you can, if you really want, you can put 2 staff rooms down, or you can put a toilet block next to it as well, so all your facilities are together. But definitely, in terms of managing the park, it stops the shop being empty for too long. If you're doing it in sandbox, it doesn't really matter because you're not affecting your income, but it does, it does mean that the shops are empty, and you don't really want to go around the park and see the shops empty. So, definitely another one to consider there. Tip number 3 is about how to assign staff members to certain areas. Now, obviously there's all different types of staff members needed. As you can see down here, this bin is pretty full, so I need a janitor in, and that's what he'll do. He'll go down there and he'll clean up these bins. I'll pop a few down here because, as you can see on this path here, the litter is getting quite bad. So I'll pop a few of them down and hopefully they'll keep that tidy. Also down here, as you can see, the bins have been trashed, so we need some security team. So we'll put some security blokes down, and hopefully they'll keep everywhere nice and safe. Now, I've put that down, and they'll do a job, and I won't need to massively worry about them. What you can do though to extra sort of micromanage your park, especially this is more suitable for sort of challenge modes as opposed to sandbox. But just to make sure everything is running efficiently, is you can assign work rosters. So you can basically say where you want the staff members to sort of prioritise. So for example, this security man is walking back down here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to where it says monthly salary, and you can either tick which jobs you want him to do. So if he sees someone vandalising something like one of the bins, for example, he will get them out the park, and if he chases pickpockets, he'll get them out the park. Or you can tick off if you don't want him to do any of that. Also, what you can do is you can change him from free roaming, or you can give him a roster. Now, what you can do here is you can select the facilities you want him to watch. So I could, for example, highlight all of these and just say, right, let's call that entrance. Yeah, confirm. So that security bloke is now just gonna be watching the entrance buildings. So he'll make sure everything around here is fine, and he'll always stay around there. So it minimises any issues you've got around that area. Okay, so again, if you're in a challenge park and you don't want to, and you don't want to have a problem with pickpockets or vandals, then that is one way to do it. With the entertainers, you see that security man there, look, was just chasing a thief out here. So that's why you can see it's better to manage somebody. If you could manage him to find out where that was, he's managing to shove those people out with him by running. So yeah, if he was micromanaging an area, he might have picked him up quicker rather than letting him run out, because he can't catch him up anymore. So yeah, that's another example of the micromanaging. For the entertainers, you can have them wandering about like that, completely free, or you can have them a bit like they do in like a Disney park, for example, where they are set a certain area. So if I go to King Coaster 7 and I assign him to G, which is what I've called this entertainment point up here. So we'll fast forward that, and hopefully he should get up here. This guy I already assigned to G, as you can see here, along with the security man. So they're going to stand by here for most of the day, and you can set the areas that you want those characters to stand in, and for visitors to come and see them, you can make sure that they're all set in one area rather than just randomly being stood, I don't know, at the bottom of a queue line or something. So it's just another way of managing your crowds and managing how to get people, people in certain areas and clearing the main paths. Obviously I've put this on the main path, but I would advise building slightly off it. And yeah, it just makes sure that your crowds aren't kind of gathering in the wrong place basically, and not just kind of randomly everywhere and looking a little bit messy. They are at the minute, obviously he's in the middle of the main path, but as I say, if you build off it, it will be a little bit better laid out. What I've done over here, as you can see, I've built a nice little terrace. I've built a little platform with a few benches looking over the water. Very basic, I know. But no one's going to come down here. Yeah, so I could build a nice fancy little restaurant, and no one's going to come down here and have a look down here. They'll come down, buy a burger and walk back. So what I would suggest doing at this point, if you want to put a really nice looking building into your park like this, again, using the entertainment points or the viewing points, so the vista point here, you can either put a vista point there, like that, and that is like a way of saying to the guests, come and have a look at this. So they will come down there and have a look, or you can put an entertainment point. That's it. As you can see already, the visitors are now coming down because that vista point is telling them to come down and have a look at the view from there. So they'll come down there, as you can see, with a few others. So we'll speed them up. They'll come down and have a look out. I wasn't expecting them to come down as quick as this, but that's worked out really well for me. So they'll come down and they'll have a look. Oh, look! Wow! There's absolutely nothing over there, but it gets guests coming down to this bit. It makes it look a bit more realistic, and people are starting to sit down on these benches because we're already over here. So yeah, fantastic way of doing that. And the other thing as well is to have a bit of an entertainment point here, because then you can always go back to your entertainers. Where are we? Let's get this guy. 12. Add a roster. Let's go all the way over to this entertainment point. Confirm. Call it T. Confirm. So he's going to go over there now, and he will again draw guests down here. As you can see, there's a small crowd gathering here. So if you want guests to come down and look at something that isn't a facility for them to buy or a ride for them to go on, it's a great way of getting them to come down to a quiet area of the park, again to spread it out and also to look a bit more realistic. So yeah, that's my third tip about staff management. So there we go, guys. That was 3 small tips on park management. I hope you found that useful. If you did, please let me know below. Please let me know if you do like these sort of videos. I'll have a look at doing a couple more on the sort of things I've kind of picked up and realised, how to do things better basically in the game. But yeah, if you did enjoy, please leave a like and subscribe if you're new, and I shall see you in the next episode. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.